So here I got the 5-minute candle 1-day chart for ABEO. And as we can see, we had a huge gap down overnight from the 180s to 110-ish close here on Monday. So an extreme move. Let's get a better feel for it. Look at the daily candle. Here's the 100. So it was right in this 200 SMA. Pretty sideways. Fell into a downtrend. Was starting to bottom out, it looked like. And then bam, 180 to here at 115 in after hours, but closed around 110. So let's even go to the 1 year to get a better feel. So a real extreme move. So let's look at what happened here. So they announced leadership in a board transition, but it's an extreme version of this. Today they announced pretty much that their CEO as well as 5 board members all walked away. So they all stepped down, effective immediately, which is scares people. They think, oh no, something bad is happening. And on top of that, this is a clinical stage biotech company, so even more speculation and risk involved, right? But with that, it's speculation, so it's hard to base it off numbers here. Because when we go through their 10Q, they dropped here. We got, this is important, August 3rd, 2020, they got 84.7 million shares. We'll round up 84.8 million shares. So just take note of that, 84.8 million shares. So yeah, of course they have no revenue. They're in clinical stages. So I mean, it's all based upon the studies. Let's look at their studies. So this is their pipeline. They got 1 in phase 3, 2 in phase 1 and 2, and then they got 4 preclinical ones. So they're just burning cash trying to get these through. So this is strictly more, to me, just a speculative price action play. Usually I wouldn't hold one of these overnight, but what caught my attention, as I was saying, there was 84.8 million shares. Today was the highest volume at 13.75 million shares that it's had since this day, where it's 14, where it spiked, ultimately came back down. So it's the second most volume of any day of the year, right? And now let's go back to the 5-minute day chart where I got all my price targets. So today it took pretty much a 40% cut on 13 million shares being traded on a stock with 84 million shares. So I think that's an overreaction on a volume analysis perspective, as well as we don't know what's really solid. But it is risky in the sense that maybe there is bad news and maybe they failed that study 3 or something. They know about it, but I don't know why everyone would run the day before. That doesn't make sense. And on the positive side, we know they're trying to sell this company they've talked about and disclosed. So maybe, as it's happened in previous cases, the board members or the CEOs will step down right before a merger or a sale, before they announce it, and then they'll actually run. So it's not necessarily bad. It's not necessarily good either, but to me, when I see a 40% price cut on what do you think about that? That's less than 25% of the shares being traded. It's like 20% or so being traded, and it represents a 40% in the price action. I think it's an overreaction. So shorts were obviously got in here, they dropped it, now everyone's underwater. So I mean, I wouldn't want to be a bull at 180 if I was in at 180 or whatnot, or averaging down so much. But I got in here and played this over here, and then later on in the day I saw it back, so I started loading at 111, and they actually dumped it down, and I loaded more, I think, at 109. So I got in 108, so I got a 109.5 average. I'm swinging, and so my first price support level would be this 110. This 110 is crucial. I won't let this break 110 on me. So now that 110 is crucial. After that, it's going to be the $1 And as we saw on the 1 year chart, there's going to be no support under that, so it could be a free fall. So be careful. So respect that 110, respect the dollar. So when the 110 breaks, I'll look for the $1 to hold. If that holds, I'll look for a bounce back to 110. If the $1 breaks, I'll let it panic and play the candles. If the 110 holds, my first price target is the 116. That's where I'd put a price, I'd put my stop at if it breaks it. And I wouldn't let it go down on me back to 110. I at least lock the 6% and rinse and repeat until it can hold the 116. And then my next price target, the only part where it's really going to be heavy, it's going to be right here at 125. So if it can break 115, my next one's at 125. I'm going to remove it. Then I'm going to put 135 next, right here. The bottom and the top of the body of these candles. Top of this candle for 145 will be my next price target. After that, it's 160 and then 175, and we'll look at the 1 year chart to see how I came up with that. So 160 being right here, that's the 145. That's how I came up with that too, and that's how this top of the candle was caused by. This is how I came up with the 160 right here, and this is the 175 on these candles. So yeah, tight risk on this one. You don't want to go down with the sink if it breaks under that 110 or the 1. But if it can hold that 110 and the 1, it'll be fine. We'll look for that 116, the 125, the 135, the 145, the 160, and then the 175.